The inquiry process allowed us to reflect on current teaching practices and pedagogies. We used the teaching as inquiry cycle to guide our interventions. We were able to inquire into our own teaching to find the most effective ways to best meet the learning needs of our students. Our initial wonderings were all centered around mathematics. We were able to identify this as our focus. Comparing our teaching experiences, we were able to acknowledge a common theme of students' low levels of engagement when participating in mathematical tasks and discussions. This led to our umbrella topic of fostering a positive learning environment to increase engagement and participation in mathematics.
My inquiry question was, how can I use student voice to increase engagement and participation in math? My data showed that students' misconception in fractions led to misunderstanding of mathematical concepts and became easily disengaged with negative attitudes towards math. I based my intervention on Sherin, Mendes, and Lewis' research using the 4 principles of learning by allowing students to actively participate in different math tasks, reflecting on thoughts and actions, collaboration in peer share and groups where opinions can be shared and valued. I implemented these principles by working with students to listen and act on their ideas, having students reflect on their work and others, analyze student voice in Think Aloud, and discussing possible changes with students about the tasks. My findings showed that students participate and contribute positively and confidently when their views are heard and valued. This reflects a significant change in students' attitudes, engagement, and achievement in representing and justifying fractions.
My inquiry question was, how can I use talk moves to increase students' confidence in mathematical problem solving so they become actively engaged? My data showed that students were not confident when participating and contributing in mathematical tasks and discussions, therefore were unengaged. Through the use of Chapin and O'Connor's talk moves, students explained, justified, and engaged in mathematical argumentation within a problem-solving setting. Students actively worked in small groups to problem solve before sharing with the whole group. Students were able to cement their knowledge by repeating or voicing another student's strategy. My findings showed that students were able to develop confidence as they worked within small groups before progressing into larger groups. Through the implementation of these talk moves, students were able to feel valued within their groups as their strategies were heard. This built cohesion within the group, and I found students were highly engaged.
My inquiry question was, how can I use Chapin and O'Connor's talk moves to develop students' mathematical thinking so they become active participants in discussion? My data showed a majority of students were disengaged and easily distracted during mathematics. When engaging in mathematical discussion, these students were often overpowered by dominant students, which led to a further decrease in participation. Research highlights through discussion, students develop their mathematical understanding by hearing other students' strategies. Through the use of talk moves, I was able to develop students' mathematical thinking as they interacted with others to justify and explain their strategy. This encouraged student participation in group discussion and led to higher levels of engagement in mathematical language. I implemented this by using maths talk cards, different questioning types, and peer share discussions. My findings show students became more confident in their mathematical language, reasoning, and articulating their thoughts. Through this, there was an increase in group discussion and participation.
Through the inquiry process, we were able to implement effective teaching pedagogies that promoted student engagement in a positive and rich learning environment. To us, inquiry is a cyclic process that we can use to help us reflect on our own teaching practices in order to make change and to better meet the learning needs and outcomes for all our students. Next time, as teachers, we would like to have more time to complete our inquiry in order to collect more reliable data and to be able to see the long-term effects of this process.